Don't you hate it when your teachers don't provide you with clear curriculum? Most teachers provide you with a syllabus so that you can have clear due dates and test dates. Some teachers will just write on the board when they're going to give you a test. But Mr. Kavanaugh, my government teacher, refuses to do any of those things, and I'm sure you can relate to that. I am sure many of your teachers do very similar things. Whenever we go to class, we may or may not have a test on that day, a big test, a unit test, because he doesn't tell us when we have our tests. These unclear standards make it very difficult to focus in class. Speaking of focusing in class, Mr. Kavanaugh himself can barely pay attention to himself. He stands in front of the class and is discussing the presidency, and he might get off topic talking about local events. That is a very confusing thing for him to do. Now, I'm sure many of you relate to this kind of teacher, because teachers like this are all over classrooms in America that just sit there and don't teach. I had a chemistry teacher last year. She sat around the whole class period and talked to one kid, but she never taught us anything. But we still had these difficult unit tests. She also was absent very often, with a lazy substitute who either slept or was too strict and just wanted respect from the class, who couldn't respect anyone. Now that was very difficult for us to understand. The best idea to get rid of this is to rid the school of these teachers permanently. There are several ways this could be done. But the main idea is that without these teachers, there will be no more bad teachers, which means higher test grades and better scores all around. SAT, ACT, grades will be all A's, and you'll be popular for taking down the worst teachers in the school who didn't teach anyone and had unclear standards. And it is very important that we all stand together and call these teachers out in class when they get off topic and ask if we can go back to the review that we're doing. Or when they start talking about local events, to maybe bring up an event that's in your book and make them talk about that instead. Finally, it is important that if all else fails, to report these teachers to their superiors. In doing this, you will ensure that they can no longer ignore the individual pleas of the students, but will have to answer to their higher power or else lose their job.